This country is at war, and that's the reality.
And then he asked me about what do you think about Ukraine? And the plane that you see right there is actually stolen. So as you can see right here, the Russian map has been adjusted.
The world, as we know it, changed on February 24, 2022, with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, an event I condemn. For the longest time, I was debating whether it's right to visit Russia, but as an airline journalist, it is exactly what I'm supposed to do, to showcase you the current reality of the Russian aviation sector, so you can form your opinion based on my reporting. Nothing more, nothing less. If I would consider politics in my reviews, I would never get off the ground. Hey Josh, you took a trip on Delta Airlines, a country that illegally invaded Iraq. Hey Josh, you took a flight on Saudi Airlines, a country that jails and executes homosexuals. Hey Josh, you flew in El Al, a country that is engaged in a difficult conflict in Gaza. Hey Josh, you took a trip on Singapore Airlines, a country that executes people for smoking weed. And the list goes on forever. So let's pack our bags and take a trip from Kazakhstan to Russia. Let me show you what it's like to fly heavily sanctioned Russian airlines in 2024. Let me show you the hurdles I experienced to enter the country. Let me show you how I took the last Russian flight allowed to enter European airspace. And let me show you what it's like to fly the Russian manufacturer's Sukhoi Superjet for the next couple of weeks.
And here we are, welcome from Atyrau, the lowest commercial airport in the world. It's freezing cold, but it's also the beginning of my Russia aviation tour, and I'm really excited to take you to Moscow. So let's do this and let's check in for our Aeroflot flight to Russia.
And Atyrau isn't just the lowest airport in the world, and they're also the only airport in the world where you can measure your blood pressure. Hi, how are you? There you go. Thank you. So, all checked in for my flight with Aeroflot, and it was rather easy. They didn't even ask me for my visa. And if you're wondering what visa I'm on, it's the new Russian e-visa where you apply online and then usually gets approved within 72 hours. Very straightforward. So here we are boarding the Airbus 320, and the plane that you see right there is actually stolen property. It was delivered to an Irish leasing company 10 years ago, and with the Russian invasion it was seized by Aeroflot, or the Russian government has been re-registered in Russia, because back in the days they would register those planes in Bermuda, and now it's flying under false registration in Russia.
And there she is, Aeroflot's Airbus A320-200, taking us to Moscow today. Aeroflot is currently operating 49 of them, so let's get on board and see what it's like.
Hi there. Thank you.
This plane features 8 dedicated business class seats, as well as 150 in economy, making it 158 in total.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? So guys, and here we are. Welcome on board a heavily sanctioned Airbus A320. Russian airlines have no access to spare parts anymore due to the sanctions, and that reflects in the current aviation situation in Russia. There's emergency landings, there is planes that are grounded and they are cannibalized for spare parts. And that's the reality in Russia at the moment. Do I have faith in this plane? I do, because I've traveled on Iranian airlines before, which are suffering from the same sanctions for over 4 decades, and they keep their planes airworthy. They're still flying, they're in great condition, so I'm quite hopeful that Russia is getting a few hints and advices from the Iranians, which they do actually. There's a lot of rumors that Russia is sending their planes to Iran for maintenance and sea checks, yeah, let's see what the service is like, what the onboard experience is going to be like now that the industry has changed in Russia. But crew was very lovely at the door. That's already a start. And yeah, looking forward to the next 2.5 hours to Moscow, the arrival experience, etc., etc. I think it's going to be a very eye-opening tour for me.
And we then pushed back for an on-time departure. Now is also a good time to hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on part 2 of my Russian aviation adventure.
So guys, we just reached cruising altitude, and given that this plane is heavily sanctioned, there's no clues for me that it performs any differently. The noise pollution is the same. It doesn't seem like any other Airbus 320 to me. However, I also have the in-flight magazine in front of me, and I was always quite curious to see, because Aeroflot is a partially a state-owned airlines, and there is no appreciation or any clues regarding their army and their, if the US or the UK would be at war. I'm sure at the American Airlines or British Airways magazine you would have at least one page like showing appreciation, support for their army, but there's nothing in there at all. It's quite interesting. There's still a few Western companies advertising in here, such as Karl Lagerfeld, and a lot of Swiss watches are here. Different companies, they are advertising in here as well. And there's one clue though, which I found very interesting, is that the destination map, where do we have it? So as you can see right here, the Russian map has been adjusted. Apart from the Crimea, which has been annexed in 2014, the new territories that are currently occupied and were added to the Russian Federation through a referendum, such as Donbass, Kherson, they've already been adjusted here in the maps. However, the United Nations are rejecting those claims, so is any other nation. So no other nation has recognized Russia's claims over the Ukrainian territories. I think North Korea does, but not even China or any of those allies of Russia have recognized those claims. Yeah, that's the update, and it's quite interesting to see, because obviously there is the Western media, then there's Chinese media, there's different media. So yeah, those are the little differences that I've noticed so far. So, and what do you get served on Aeroflot during these difficult times? It's an apple, a chocolate bar, and a sandwich. And given that they are heavily sanctioned, this is still more than you get on a 2.5-hour Lufthansa flight. There you go. I said it.
And yes, if you've been wondering, you can stream all sorts of in-flight entertainment to your personal device on any Aeroflot flight that doesn't have built-in screens.
So guys, and here we are inside the loo of the Aeroflot Airbus A220, and it's probably the world's first loo review from a stolen plane, that I can assure. Flight so far, so good. There's a guy sitting opposite me, and he took a photo of me when we were boarding, which makes me a little bit suspicious. However, maybe he was just a fan or whatever, I have no idea. But am I anxious or paranoid about entering Russia? Obviously, I've been considering this trip, whether it's safe for me to do, because Russia is obviously not a big friend of YouTubers, journalists, foreigners that are considered unfriendly. The only precaution that I took is that I'm not posting on social media about going to Russia or that I am in Russia, because in the past I had cases where haters called border police literally because they saw on Instagram I was flying to a certain country, and they called the border police and they said I have drugs in my bag and stuff like this. Obviously I didn't have anything, but the police took it seriously. They checked, and then I was just asking, hey, what's going on? Can you explain this to me? And they said, hey, Josh, we can't tell you why we are doing this or what it is, but let me tell you that you work in a very jealous industry. So to prevent anyone calling the police in Russia and saying, hey, this guy is a spy or whatever, making up some nonsense claims so I get in troubles, I just decided not to update people about going to Russia. Other than that, I'm actually super excited to go to Russia. It's a dream come true for me to stay in the Hotel Ukraine, which I always wanted to. I'm absolutely fascinated with Russian architecture, and I've always been fascinated with Moscow. I love the city, it's beautiful, it's an absolute gem, and I'm actually super excited to be standing on the Red Square tomorrow and take in the incredible scenery of that city. That is what matters to me. Politics aside, I'm looking forward to it. Alright, now I don't want to block the Louvre any longer, but that's what it looks like.
We then started our descent into Moscow, and to be fair, the flight was absolutely decent. Lovely crew, great food, and overall I received a lot more than I would on any other Western airline on a 2-hour flight. Despite the heavy sanctions, everything seems to be functioning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Moscow. Our aircraft has landed at Sheremetyevo Alexander Pushkin Airport. We are arriving at Terminal C. The temperature in Moscow is minus 15 degrees Celsius.
Thank you, bye-bye. So we made it. On my way to immigration now. The only problem is that I'm considered a citizen from an unfriendly country, so there could be some troubles ahead, but I'll let you know how it goes. Fingers crossed. So 3 hours, a lot of drama, and a short interrogation session later, I have finally entered the Russian Federation. I'm gonna tell you all about it once I get to the hotel, but at one point I thought this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to enter Russia, I'm going to be sent back, or even worse. However, what you see behind me is what McDonald's used to be. That's the new Russian McDonald's. Hi, how are you? I need a taxi to Hotel Ukraina.
Ukraine.
A hotel, yeah. Radisson, it's called. All right.
It will cost you 500.
Okay, that's a good deal.
Okay.
No problem.
You go outside, you cross the road one time straight.
Uh-huh.
One time.
And then just straight, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh?
How much?
I already paid. Inside. Thank you. Yeah?
Moscow?
Moscow.
Address?
I have a taxi. It's coming.
Taxi.
Yeah. I think I've been ripped off because I've been waiting here for 15 minutes and no Uber has shown up yet. And I gave him 500 rubles. And it's freezing. It's like minus 15 degrees. And 10:15 p.m. And I landed at 7 now. So I went through all the pain going through security again so I could enter the terminal because the guy stole my money. It's not gonna happen. Yo, never showed up.
Never showed up?
Never showed up. And I was waiting for 25 minutes.
Eventually, the guy would come outside with me and sorted out my Uber, taking me to the center of Russia's capital.
So here we are, right next to the Hotel Ukraina. Oh yeah, it's so cold, but this city is so beautiful, so stunning, and so is the hotel. It used to be the tallest hotel in the world for many, many years. Prime location, literally just looking at the Russian parliament, and then a big propaganda letter. But yeah. This country is at war, and that's the reality. However, let's check in. Thank you. Stunning. Hi, how are you? Thank you very much.
Do you have a reservation?
I do, yes. So that's 70,000.
Let me.
And then a 15th floor. Okay, thank you very much. Spasiba. Hey, thank you. You're a superstar, eh? Night. Finally checked in.
So guys, as part of my Russian aviation series, I'm gonna give out this special edition keyring in red, removed before flight, with my logo on it. You probably know that you can purchase the black ones on my Patreon site. All you have to do to get this limited edition is to leave a comment and subscribe and share the video with one of your friends, and then you might be the proud owner of this Cahill keyring. You can also purchase them using the link in the description box below in my Patreon page, starting from the $15 pack. So if you just want a keyring, sign up for the $15 pack and then cancel the membership immediately, and then you will get also this special edition, just available until the end of February. I don't have too many of them, and then I'm going to go back to the black ones. They look really cool on your carry-on. All right, now let's get back to the video.
And trust me, I've been waiting for this moment for 20 years. Is it 20 years? 15? 17 years, 2007, when I was here for the first time. I saw the hotel from the outside. And I've been reading about Moscow. I've always been obsessed about Moscow for so many years. And I said, one day I'm going to stay here. And today is the day. And I can't wait. Right. Oh my God. Isn't that amazing? That's an incredible room. So much history in here. It's insane. It was like so difficult. What's the view like? Oh my God, the view is like amazing. I'm going to show you in a little bit. But damn, everything is so difficult. You can't use your card because of the sanctions. So you have to bring a lot of cash into the country, which I did, and then you have to change the money and like leave all the deposit in cash. It's just an absolute nightmare. But let me take my jacket off, let me get a bit comfortable, and then I tell you what happened to me at the airport, which was also like quite intense. So yeah, and here I am. It's 7 minutes past midnight, and in the ideal world, I would have been here for a couple of hours already. I touched down at 7, and yeah, it's like, what, 5 hours to get to the hotel. To be honest, I didn't expect it to be a piece of cake. You know, I thought it's going to be difficult. There might be some issues. The country is at war. They have to protect their citizens. They have to protect their country, and they have to really make sure that whoever enters the country is not a threat to the Russian Federation. We would do exactly the same, and if you have been following the news, there is people entering the country, there are spies, there are people sabotaging things, they put stuff on fire, they cause issues. That's what happens. That's war, and so they have to be extra careful. So what happened is I lined up for immigration, and there's a few different lines, and then they have those crosses over it, like X, big illuminated, and a green arrow. So when there's a green arrow, it's your turn. You go in, you see the immigration officer, and I could tell that at some of the stations, the X was like flashing. And that's when an immigration officer came and took the person to a separate area, which was behind all the lines. And I could see it happen to every fifth, sixth person. And I was like thinking, I'm a citizen of a country that they consider unfriendly, so I might get into troubles. And when I walked in there and I saw the immigration officer, she looked like an old, grumpy KGB lady. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get through here. And that's exactly what happened. So they check your passports very carefully. I can say they do all the checks because there's a lot of fake passports out there. This is how people who want to harm the country, that's how they enter the country, right? They get counterfeit passports and enter through different identities. So I could tell they were very particular. They put it on the blue lights and did all the checks. And yeah, that's what they did to my passport as well. However, she wouldn't let me go through. Somebody came, picked me up, and said, come to the other area. And then there I was sitting. I wasn't really worried because I saw there was a lot of people from all different like races, like Asians, Arabs, Westerners, a lot of Ukrainians. I was like surprised how many Ukrainians come to Russia. You could see all those blue passports. And but they have to go and leave fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. That was very interesting. I didn't know that there's still Ukrainians that they're allowed to come to Russia, and that there's still so many. That was very surprising. So yeah, and then I was sitting there, and that's quite of a funny story. I was sitting there and I saw a bunch of like Etihad crew in the back, and they were walking to immigration, and they would walk past me, and I was already like, because it happens quite often that crew recognizes me. So I was already like there, and I was like, this is embarrassing. They probably think like, here, Josh, once again, causing troubles. There he is. So I was sitting there, I was like hoping they wouldn't see me. And then I had a look, and then the one guy just said, I know who you are, one of the Etihad crew. And then there was like 2 other Etihad crew members, and they looked at me and they say, hey, Josh. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. But if it was you, let me know. Thanks for saying hello. I wasn't in troubles. I'm a good boy. But yeah, that was quite funny. So after an hour sitting there, an immigration officer came, a bald guy, my age, actually very nice. So he took me to a separate room, and then he asked me, what are you doing in Russia? Why are you coming here? What are you doing for work? And then he asked me about, what do you think about Ukraine? Like the situation in Ukraine. And obviously,
I told him that my grandmother is Ukrainian, my mom is from the Czech Republic, and obviously I have relations with that country. But I said, it's very sad, and all I want is for Russia and Ukraine to be at peace. It's just so unnecessary. But then I also said, I don't know much about politics, so I can't really judge the situation. And he was like, yeah. And then I said, here, I told him how I came to Russia 2007. It was my very first trip for my very first money. And he was like, he was very nice, and he was laughing. And I told him I travel here and there, and he was really nice. And he asked me would I have Telegram. And he said, can you show me? And I said, I do have it, but I never use it. So I opened it. I think he just wanted to see it, whether I'm in one of those groups, and I might be blocked as well in Russia. But so he went through it. Obviously there wasn't anything, and then he left. And 15 minutes later, a different guy came and gave me my passport and said, you can go and line up again. You're good to go. And I was true. But I saw it kept on happening, that they spot check people, especially with countries that they don't like, or that they have a different or difficult relationship at the moment. So you don't have to be worried necessarily coming here, but you might be questioned and taken to a separate room and interrogated. So, but I had nothing to hide. I don't feel like I'm a threat to the country. I love Russia. I'm coming here for a long time. Politics is something else. So yeah, and then it's very difficult also here to just pay for stuff. It's always only cash. Cards don't work here anymore because of the sanctions. So that gave me a bit of headache at the reception, at the check-in. And on the way here, when you drive to the city, you see a lot of propaganda, right? You see ads of soldiers, ads asking you to join the army. But tomorrow I'm going to take you through the city. We're going to go check out Red Square, and we go to the nearby shopping mall, and just to see what it's like right now in Russia. I think it's very interesting. And now I've been talking so much. I'm super sleepy. I'm super tired. But I'm just so happy to be back in Moscow, and I can't wait to go and explore the city tomorrow and do all the other flights. It's such an incredible city. I've loved the city for the longest time. It's just mind-blowing. I can recommend everyone to visit it once in your life. It's an incredible place. But anyways, I'm gonna get some sleep, and then tomorrow we're gonna go out there and see what's in store for us. And here we are, a beautiful good morning. Look at the view, beautiful. Looking right at the Russian government or parliament. And now let's head to the Red Square. Let's do it. Oh. How are you? All good? Yeah?
It's freezing cold, minus 12 degrees, but the side of this hotel just warms me up. Look at it.
Taking a ride on Moscow's metro is a once-in-a-lifetime experience as well. It's one of the most beautiful subway systems in the world, carrying 10 million passengers a day. But more importantly, it's the stunning architecture and the history of it. I've seen a lot of public transport around the globe, but nothing comes even close to the Moscow metro.
So, but before we enter the iconic Red Square, let's go and check out the old former Macca's, or McDonald's, and see what it tastes like.
It was just interesting to see how Russians' everyday life has changed, but what you would notice is that the majority of the Western brands are actually still operating within Russia, just under a different name. So it's pretty much all the same. But for instance, KFC and Burger King are still operating in the country under the same name, and so are many other businesses.
So let's see what it tastes like. So to be honest, apart from the fries, it tastes exactly like McDonald's. And the fries are actually not that bad. I like them much better than the regular McDonald's fries, so maybe they should adopt them. So guys, and here we are in the heart of Russia, the Red Square. It's still freezing cold, but this is the end of the first part of my Russian aviation tour. Flying Aeroflot, entering the country. What an adventure. And the next flight is on Ural Air. From here, Moscow to Kaliningrad, which is the last flight that is still allowed to enter European airspace. So we're going to take that on Tuesday. So very excited about that. Also, if you want to have access to some extra perks, check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description box below. You can join my WhatsApp group, get your Cahill keyring, early access to my videos, have your name in the credit, and so on. A lot of cool extra perks that you can access. But this is it. I'm gonna head back to the hotel because it's just too cold to be outside. But I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you thought about today's trip on Aeroflot and the current situation here in Russia.